Andrew here, and it's time to change hats. No, this not specifically. I'm talking about the hats we wear. These last few months I've been talking, or the last few weeks anyway, I put on the hat of observer of the Canadian political scene and what a despicable bunch of lowlives our politicians are. Left, center, right. I mean, if you have taken from any of these videos, oh, he's on Team PC, he's on Team Liberal, oh, he's on Team NDP. No, you haven't been paying attention. I have been referring to our Prime Minister as Blackface Hitler, and the NDP person supporting him as Jagmeet Sock Puppet, but at the same time I'm referring to the fat fascist flatworm of Queen's Park. So, remember, I made a video specifically saying I don't have a political party, because there's no political party which is dedicated to not messing with my children and their future. So anyway, my observations have been that I started this stuff to talk about my depression, but none of you guys actually watch those videos. I see the views. So I've talked about other stuff, sort of peripheral sideways stuff. But today it's time to take off my observer of the Canadian political scene hat and put on my Russo-Ukrainian war expert hat. Wait, Andrew, that's the same hat. Yeah, because I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, an expert at Russo-Yuki relations and the war and anything that's going on over there. A buddy of mine said, oh, Andrew, he told me, yeah, we had that preference cascade you were talking about. I want to hear your take on the war in Eastern Europe. I don't really have one. The sum total of my observations on that is Ukraine has always been, to my knowledge, in the Russian sphere of influence. It has always been part of what Russia considered their strategic depth. I believe I read somewhere recently that Kiev was actually once the capital of the Russian Empire. So the borders in that area change too much for anyone to say, this piece of land is Russia, this piece of land is Ukraine, this piece of land is Poland, or whatever. But what I will say is this. NATO existed to oppose the USSR. The USSR collapsed. NATO should have been dissolved with it. Instead, NATO expanded. Russia was recovering from massive political turmoil and economic problems, and you name it, from the collapse of the Soviet Empire. And NATO took that opportunity to expand and incorporate former Soviet socialist republics, Lithuania and Estonia, maybe Latvia, a couple of others. Poland is in there. Although Poland was never USSR, it certainly was in their sphere. It was behind that Iron Curtain. So not only did the alliance that only existed to oppose the USSR not dissolve when the USSR dissolved, it expanded into territory that was the Russian sphere of influence. When my boys were asking me about this, the way I put it was, Ukraine has a massive border on Russia. And there was talk of inviting Ukraine into NATO. How would the United States react if Russia or China invited Canada to join in with them? Do you think that they would be happy that one of their global competitors with nuclear arms had expanded their territory to the 49th parallel? I don't think that they would be. I think they would oppose this quite vigorously. In point of fact, I believe the Monroe Doctrine was everything in the Western Hemisphere is the American sphere of influence. People over on the other side, stay the hell out. So we know historically they wouldn't like it. So why in the hell did we expect ultra-nationalist and whatever you want to call them and however you want to describe them, but Putin is a Russian ultra-nationalist. How in the hell did you expect him to react? Putting in a puppet government that was going to join or was applying to join NATO. What did you expect? Did you expect him just to say, "Oh, sure, go ahead"? And that's it. That's it. See, I'm not a journalist. I don't pretend to know crap tons of stuff because that's the front page story of the day. And last week's COVID virology experts are this week's Eastern European political super geniuses. They don't know a goddamn thing. I don't know a goddamn thing. The big difference between yours truly and the talking shitheads of the fifth column, fourth estate is that I admit I don't know a hell of a lot about a hell of a lot. But I will go back to what I said. Think of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviet Empire was going to put nuclear missiles 90 miles off of the American shore. How did the Americans react to that? Well, NATO, and Canada is part of NATO, we were talking about expanding our alliance to their front doorstep. How in the hell did we expect them